Hello Gemini friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my March 2020 horoscope report for you. In this video we're going to talk about the general climate of the month. We're going to talk about how the movement of the planets in the sky are likely to affect Gemini placements. I'm going to give you some important dates to note, and we're also going to talk about Saturn moving into Aquarius and what this means for Gemini. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is that there are way more sweet aspects in the sky than there are salty ones this month. And whenever that happens, it leads to a nicer general planetary climate than when that doesn't happen. So yay, that's a plus. The second thing to note is that until towards the end of the month, the predominance of the movement of the planets that we're looking at, which are the ones closest to us, okay, the ones closest to us, called the personal planets, the inner planets, they move quickly. So month to month, those are the ones that are really changing signs and changing places in the chart because the outer planets take longer to move around. So they kind of like move slowly and they're in the same place for a long time. So when an outer planet moves into a different sign, it's a big deal, which is why we're going to make a big time about Saturn moving into Aquarius, because it happens more rarely. But when we're looking at the general things that change every month, it's these personal planets, the ones closest to us. So the movement of the planets this month is until towards the end is going to be predominantly water and earth. And for Gemini, that's not the best flow. Now don't take this to mean, oh no, it's going to be a bad month. Annie said this. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that because of the way the planets rub against your placement, it's going to put pressure on. It may bring up a lot of emotions. They don't necessarily have to be bad emotions. But Gemini is, a thinker, a doer. And Pisces energy that's predominating is a feeling, it's feeling, it's emotions and other people's emotions. And even though I know many people who are Geminis, I have one very close to me that I see all the time, of course, everyone, you're sensitive emotionally as well. Every human is. But the predominance of the movement through you is like you're thinking, you're talking, you're doing, you're acting, you have ideas. And then sometimes you forget to feel. You could talk about the feelings, but you forget to feel. And this time of the year, you may notice this happens every time around this time of the year, when the planets get into Pisces, it stops and makes you do that. And if you have other placements in your chart where this feels more natural, then yay. If you don't, you're going to feel a little discord, and that's it. As you slow down, feel your way through things. My placements are the same for this time of year, by the way. They don't rub very well for how I'm wired. And so I always kind of try to schedule myself light at this time, try to keep things flexible in case emotional things come up that I have to attend to for myself or people around me. So just kind of note that. Now, towards the end of the month, when the sun gets into Aries with the astrological new year on March 19th, that's the first date to note. The beginning of a whole new astrological cycle, a bursting into new energies. When that happens, that's going to be really good for you. Okay, so like towards the end of March into April, all the planets are going to start to move into a very Gemini-friendly atmosphere. So you've got the first several weeks where you've just got to get through some things. And it's really perfect because the energy of being internal and looking towards the past, which is what the retrograde, offers us, is not really the time to be acting and trying to be all over the place without knowing what's going on anyway. But the second date to note, or series of dates to note, is that March 30th through April 9th is the last open window free of personal planet retrogrades or their shadow periods for the whole of 2020. Every other day in 2020 is either going to have Mercury, Venus, Mars retrograde, or the weeks before and after that are critical from those transits where things start acting as if it's already retrograde. Okay, but March 30th through April 9th is a nice clear open window, the last of its kind for this year. So what is important about that is that you can do your big launches, make your big decisions, sign your contracts. It's not like you can't do these things on other dates, but there's more clarity, there's more oomph, there's more, movement forward. If something comes to you that you have to decide about in March, just know that if you're not sure and you can put off making a decision, it may be better because towards the end of the month, more clarity is going to come, more drive will come, your usual self may be back, and the stars will be open for making the decisions. Excuse me. Okay, and then April just opens up into, more of that goodness for you. So the retrograde transit is going to very much feature, and this is for all Gemini placements, early, middle, and late, focus on your work, your career, your father figures, your place out in the world. For those of you who don't have to work for money, like your purpose, your things that you do that make you feel purpose-driven, questioning those, going back to things from the past that you like, jobs from the past, opportunities from the past as it relates to work, or doing something that feels good to you, makes you feel on track. Something with a father figure or a boss or something like that could come back into the forefront. And again, this could be very positive, or it can be challenging. It can be emotional, bittersweet, happy, or any of that. Those of you towards the end of the sign, you're also going to have a little bit additional focus on like writing, publishing, teaching, international business. Now, if you're a Gemini for whom these things I just listed are your business, then those topics would also be coming up through the business house. But those of you later in the sign are also going to have retrograde energy through the 9th house, which is what rules those things. So just know, like writing projects, creative projects, things that you were teaching, things that you were learning, traveling, places that you've been to before that you feel drawn to, you may travel again. People think that Mercury retrograde is not a good time to travel in general, but it could be. You just have to have flexibility and just know that things are likely to change for your plans, and just kind of flow with it. But Mercury can bring up a lot of travel in its retrograde, so you might see that come up for you as well. Okay, so the last date I wanted to note is that March 24th is the new moon in Aries, and this is the the kickoff party for the astrological new year that starts on March 19th. If you do vision boards, or if you don't, then maybe you'll want to. The universe is especially receptive to your actions at certain astrological power periods in the year. One of these astrological power periods is the new moon in Aries. That's the kickoff party for the new year, the seed planting opportunity of the whole year, the biggest one right there. So in the days around the 24th, which may be a little different for you depending on your time zone, so just look up for when the new moon in Aries is going to be for you. A vision board is something that you either do online, where you pick pictures that have the essence of what you want, or you clip out magazine pictures that show the essence of what you want to create. Sometimes people will do it exactly like, I want this car, I want this computer. But you can also do like, I want more love, I want more rest, I want more vacation. And you can put those essences up on this board, and it speaks to your subconscious mind to help you create those things. And especially when you do it in an astrological power period. So that's the last date that I wanted to note. If you are an early born Gemini, okay, so if you're born like we'll say Mayborn Geminis, you will likely be more affected by this new moon. Every Gemini has a chance to be very positively affected by this new moon, because the angle that the new moon makes to Gemini energies in general is very positive. Okay, so you're all being included in this. But because it's at 4 degrees, those of you between 0 and 9 degrees, which are basically the early born, the closer you get to 4 degrees, the more powerful, the more blessings you're likely to have from this new moon. Okay, so the last thing that I want to talk about has to do with Saturn moving into Aquarius. So Saturn rules the 9th house for Gemini. So we have to talk about a lot of things here, okay? So just bear with me, because we're going to get a little bit technical, but if you pay attention, you'll probably be glad that you did, because this is really important to note. The movement of outer planets can have a profound effect on our lives. Saturn, like every other planet, has a spectrum from higher to lower. To understand what a planet might do wherever it goes in your chart, you have to understand what the planet does in general, what the lessons are, what the storyline is, what the spectrum is. The lower end of Saturn is associated with difficulties, obstacles, hardships, heaviness, depressive energies, just like walking through mud. The higher end of Saturn is accomplishment, acknowledgement, reaching the top of the mountain, reaching your goals, getting the things done that you want, and being known for it and being rewarded for it. And also just pure manifestation, like from idea to form right in front of you, materializing. Saturn does that. It's the bringer of form. So wherever Saturn is, it's doing its Saturn thing for better and worse. To get to the higher end of the Saturn spectrum, Saturn wants you to apply its principles, which are hard work, discipline, and persistence. Okay, so just continuing to keep your nose to the grindstone in the area of life where Saturn is will help you to get the most out of the transit. Okay, so where it has been for you, all of you, is where it's going to still really be for all of you. And this is the thing I really need you to know, because, or that Spirit needs you to know, why I want to communicate it to you, is that you're going to be hearing a lot about Saturn's going into Aquarius. That means it's going into your ninth house and blah, 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 whatever. Okay, you're going to hear this. I don't know if anyone's going to take the time to break this down like I am. That's why I'm doing it. Saturn is moving only to 1 degree of Aquarius and then going retrograde back into Capricorn. Okay, so any movement towards this ninth house or towards this new arena of life is going to be felt only strongest for those of you right at the beginning of the sign, whether it's your moon, sun, rising Gemini, those early degrees. The rest of you, you're probably not going to see the real effects of Saturn moving into your ninth until between 2021 and 2023. There's 360 degrees in the circle of this zodiac wheel. There's 12 signs, 360 divided by 12, 30 degrees. So it moves from 0 up until 29 degrees, and it switches to the next sign. Saturn's going to get to 0 degrees of Aquarius, it's going to get to 1 degree of Aquarius, then it's going to go retrograde. When it does that, it's going to spend the predominance of the rest of the year in Capricorn still. And then at the end of the year, it will get back up to 1 degree. But it's not going to get past 1 degree this whole year. That means for most of you, it's not even going to touch that ninth house. So you might see the themes that are associated with it, which we'll get to, but you're more likely to see the wrapping up of the storyline of Saturn moving through the 8th house. So we want you to get those lessons, understand what that is, and that's where I'm going to focus the next piece on. Okay, so the 8th house has to do with joined forces of your resources and other people's resources, marriage, familial resources, borrowing money, loaning money. So you and the government with taxes, you and the credit card company, you and the, your mortgage company, like that all is 8th house. It's called other people's money, but it's also shared money. So Saturn might have been helping you establish yourself in your business and your work and with deep partnerships of people you could collaborate with in a big way. Saturn's higher version can do that. And it's, but its lower version is testing your relationships, testing your money, testing all of these things, and some of them aren't going to make the break. Okay, so you may still be in this testing to see what relationships are going to make it. And you might have tax burdens, you might have credit debt, things like that are what Saturn wants you to apply discipline, consistency, because the same energy that put you in the debt can also get you out of it. The same energy that put you in the heavy situation is what can get you out of it if you just stick with doing the hard work and the consistency that it takes and the persistence and not giving up. This also may have to do with your deep intimate relationships, both romantic and like familial. I know there are many people within the sound of my voice who have had very difficult times with their family members. And for some of you, the answer may be to walk away, okay? But what Saturn is usually talking about in the 8th house is this energy of doing everything that you possibly can before you make that decision and leaving no stone unturned so that when you walk away from this situation, whatever that looks like, that you can do it without guilt, you can do it without regret. And for some of you, the work that you put in is actually going to gel into beautiful Saturn gifts of beautiful outcomes. So the important thing to know about Saturn is that it busts your chops. That's what I always call it, right? It's a chop buster. But it will bring you gifts to the degree that you follow the principles. So within your relationships, within your finances, even within your searches for what's beyond the material realm, because the 8th house is also like astrology and, the study of things beyond that seem like they're, deep psychological things and mysteries. The more you put work into it, that when Saturn finally does leave that 8th house for you, which again will be staggered anywhere between 2021 and 2023, it will leave each of your 8th houses for good. You'll get the gifts You know, so the gift can be an amazing romantic relationship with the person you're with or a new person. It can be amazing familial relationships. It can be amazing finances. It can be, you know, reaching your goals in any of those areas. It can be spiritual insights that you can take with you for the rest of your life and beyond. So that's what it wants from you. Okay, so you may feel the whispers, even those of you not in the beginning of the sign, you may feel the whispers of Saturn moving into the 9th house, because we often feel those things further out, like they're coming for these outer planets. There's like a whisper, this is coming. And a sensitive person can really see it. Saturn moving through the 9th house will test your viewpoints on things. This is like big, like religion, spirituality, your belief systems, the way that you see the world. Those are the things that Saturn wants to test. And those are the things that Saturn wants to help you develop. So spiritual studies, education of any kind, expanding your horizons, you know, doing the work to learn about things that help you to tie together pieces that, you know, were confusing to you and make you feel more defined in your beliefs. But sometimes your beliefs will get tested. Okay, so that's what's coming. Even if it might not come for a while, that's what's coming. It also might want you to work hard at a school program or work hard creating, you know, a book or teaching something in the 9th house, you know, traveling. It might mean business travel, things like that, where you're blending this like energy of Saturn with the energy of the 9th house, which is teaching, learning, international travel, business, you know, all of these things. Okay, so if you want to have more information on how to use the stars to your benefit, then I have lots of resources for you. I definitely recommend getting a leg up on understanding Venus retrograde. I have a massive amount of Venus retrograde resources. If you just search for Annie Botticelli Venus retrograde, you'll find my whole Venus retrograde blog series of Venus retrograde through the signs, the houses. You'll see my video that will help you prepare, because starting April 9th, the pre-transit shadow period for Venus retrograde will start. And the things that tend to come with Venus retrograde are going to start showing up. So if you can get schooled up on this now and do the things before, possibly in that window of March 30th through April 9th, then you'll be better prepared for it. And I also give a lot of recommendations on how to best use the movement through the different houses. And we'll talk more about that as it's actually retrograde. But if you go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, you'll see that there, all of those blogs. If you want to have a written version of the general transit, so the sweet dates, the salty dates, what the aspects are, what you might see from them, the general tone of the month, all written, delivered into your inbox 1 month early, then you can sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com, and you'll have access to that monthly. If you'd like to be a professional astrologer or use astrology just because you love it and you want to go deeper and deeper and you resonate with how I teach, go to lumelife.com, L-U-M-E life.com, or BeAstroPro, B-E-A-S-T-R-O, Pro, P-R-O.com, or AnnieHelpsYou.com, and you'll see my Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery course. I can take you from ground zero to being a professional astrologer and learning how you earn money actually doing that. I have a very strong business background in a very diverse series of businesses over time. Been an entrepreneur for a very long time, so I incorporate pieces of that in the program as well. So it's an astrological wonderland, even if you don't want to do it professionally. So you can check that out. If you want to have more information about horoscopes, what to expect for the month, how to use the energies in the best way, how to use the sun's movement through a certain sign, sun's movement for different yoga positions and tea blends, I have all of these beautiful things on my website, cozybysweetstarlight.com. All these links, by the way, if you click under the video on See More, it will reveal all the rest of the notes that have the links to all of these videos. If you missed anything, you can also always rewind. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.